Hello and welcome to the third episode of our Is Enlightenment Series. In our previous episode, we established a profound truth. To achieve true enlightenment, you must unlock the 7 spirits of God, the ancient Western map of the 7 Eastern chakra points. Today, we strip away the noise of the world to awaken the first spirit, exploring how a quiet mind unlocks the ultimate power at the base of your being. When we look across human history, the language of the mystic changes depending on geography, culture, and era. Yet underneath the vocabulary, the spiritual technology remains identical. Today, we bridge the gap between Eastern Vedic science and Western Abrahamic mysticism by exploring the foundational step of the spiritual ascent, opening the first chakra, which is fundamentally the same as unlocking the first of the 7 spirits of God, the spirit of the fear of the Lord. In the Hindu tradition, the first energetic milestone is the Mooladhara, or Root Chakra. Located at the base of the spine, it governs survival, stability, grounding, and your primal place in the universe. It is the absolute foundation upon which all spiritual energy rests. Remarkably, Christian mysticism mirrors this architecture through the 7 spirits of God outlined in Isaiah 11 verse 2. The sequence culminates in, and fundamentally begins with, the spirit of the fear of the Lord. In modern language, fear implies terror or anxiety, but in ancient theology, it meant something entirely different. It translates to profound awe, absolute reverence, and a foundational submission to reality and the divine. The scriptures state that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Just like the root chakra, it is the bedrock. You cannot build a skyscraper on a weak foundation. You cannot ascend to higher states of enlightenment without first grounding your being. The first process, entering the cave. How does an individual begin this unlocking process? Historically, it always starts with an act of radical isolation. Think of the great prophets across history. Moses ascended the lonely heights of Mount Sinai. Elijah sought refuge in a desolate cave on Mount Horeb. Muhammad retreated to the darkness of the cave of Hira. Why a cave? Because the cave represents the ultimate space of sensory deprivation. To find the foundation of your existence, you must first strip away the external noise, the societal conditioning, the titles, and the endless distractions of the marketplace. The cave is the physical manifestation of turning inward. It forces a confrontation with the self. Meditation, quieting the mind to hear the voice. You do not need a literal physical cave to initiate this process today. The cave is simply a metaphor for meditation. Many people view meditation as a religious ritual, but it is actually a universal mechanics of the mind tool. Its sole purpose is to quiet the analytical, ego-driven mind. When you close your eyes and anchor your awareness, you are entering your inner cave. When the mental chatter finally slows down, a profound shift occurs. The ego quiets. The frantic thoughts about the past and future lose their grip. Safety is established. The root chakra balances as you realize that in the present moment you are safe and grounded. The voice emerges, in that absolute stillness, the still, small voice, as Elijah described it, or the divine vibration of the universe becomes audible. By quieting the world, you activate the spirit of the fear of the Lord, an overwhelming, beautiful realization of your smallness in comparison to the vastness of the divine, coupled with the comforting realization that you are utterly held by it. Unlocking the first spirit of God is not about achieving mystical visions or floating out of your body. It is about getting heavy, getting quiet, and getting rooted. It is the practice of finding an inner voice in a quiet place. By entering your own quiet cave through meditation, you anchor your root chakra, invoke the foundational spirit of awe, and prepare the temple of your body for the energy to climb higher. The Innovator's cave, accessing the frequency of genius. It is a common myth that brilliant ideas come from chaotic, high-energy brainstorming sessions. History shows the exact opposite. The greatest breakthroughs are born in deep isolation. Consider Nikola Tesla, who spent weeks locked in dark rooms, visualizing entire alternating current systems down to the millimeter, before ever sketching them on paper. Think of Steve Jobs, who spent months in bare, furniture-free rooms practicing Zen meditation to strip away design clutter, or Bill Gates, who famously takes biannual think weeks hidden away in a secluded cabin in the woods with no internet or distraction. Why do they do this? Because creativity and intuition do not speak the language of the analytical mind. The brain must shift out of high-frequency beta waves, the daily grind, stress, and logistics, and slow down into alpha and theta waves. This shift is the physiological equivalent of entering a cave. When the sensory noise of the material world drops to zero, the volume on the inner voice, the gut intuition, is turned all the way up. Innovators are not creating anything new. They are simply getting quiet enough to tune their internal antenna to the frequency of universal intelligence. Leaving the material world, the core spiritual command. This exact phenomenon explains why, in almost every sacred text, God commands the seeker to turn away from the material world. In the Bible, Jesus explicitly states, "If any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me." Matthew 16:24. He warns that you cannot serve two masters, God and Mammon, material wealth. Similarly, the Bhagavad Gita repeatedly stresses vairagya, detachment, from the fruits of action and the illusions of the material world, Maya. This is not a cosmic punishment or a test of misery. It is a structural requirement for spiritual physics. The material world is dense, heavy, and loud. It tricks your consciousness into believing that your bank account, your social status, and your physical body are all that exist. By actively choosing to leave the material world behind, whether for an hour of meditation or a lifetime of devotion, you pop the illusion. You break your addiction to external validation, which is the only way to free up the energy required to look inward. Unlocking the first dimension, the realm of Earth. When you blend these concepts, you realize that leaving the material world to find the inner voice is the precise mechanic for unlocking the first dimension, Earth. In the ancient elemental stack, earth, water, fire, wind, space, each element represents a dimension of density. The physics of Earth. Earth is the most dense, tangible, and physical dimension. It represents form, structure, gravity, and the physical body itself. The paradox of the first dimension, to master and unlock the dimension of Earth. You cannot be consumed by it. If you are constantly chasing material things, you are trapped inside the matrix of the earth element. The act of unlocking. When an innovator or a prophet goes into a quiet place and detaches from the material, they are anchoring themselves at the absolute center of the earth dimension. They use the physical stillness of the planet to ground their physical body, the Root Chakra. By stabilizing the earth dimension within yourself, you create an immovable, unshakable foundation. Only when the physical material self is completely quiet and secure can the consciousness begin to dissolve into the higher, more fluid dimensions. Migrating from the solidity of earth to the flow of water, the second chakra, the heat of fire, the third, and the whisper of the wind, the heart.